a Jan Hurt like had at the Giro last year, I honestly think that Soudal are stronger. And I think that, like I said earlier, I think they have a stronger leader. That's my take from it.
I mean, that's a great point to shift the conversation to the points jersey. Quite an open one. We don't really have like the big Jasper Philipsen. We do have Mark Cavendish, a former winner of this jersey, but not the same Mark Cavendish, really. Where do you think it's actually going? We have two previous winners of the jersey with Ackerman and Gaviria. There might even be a third one. But yeah, who do you think is going to be dominating this? Mess Pedersen, he was very good at the
Mm.
Vuelta last year, coming in with some good form as well from the classics.
I think that Pedersen is the likely candidate, especially with Ciccone not going because of COVID. I think it depends who they bring in as that alternative rider. If they bring in somebody else to support Pedersen's goals, I think that Pedersen's going to be a really tough one to crack. Matthews, I think, is always one who likes to go for the points classification, but it's going to be quite hard for him, I think, to beat Pedersen, considering that I think most people would agree he's probably faster in a flat sprint. So it's going to require Matthews to try and drop him on the climbs. I do think that Matthews is a better climber, especially when you consider he won up to Mond last year in the Tour, which I don't think that Pedersen would have done.
No, he's won the Tour of Denmark. He's won stages in the Tour of Norway.
That's Pedersen and Matthews, and then there's like the thing is the sprinter field's so, for lack of a better word, wag because it's got like Gaviria and Bonifacio, Simone Consonni, Cavendish, who may or may not do okay, and then like Caden Groves or something. Like it's not the best sprint field, to be honest with you. If Pedersen is just good, he should be winning this, unless Matthews can provide some real trouble. And the last time Matthews won a stage of a Giro was in 2015. So 8 years.
I can't overlook Caden Groves. I'm sorry. He's been looking good this year so far. He's taken a couple of big level sprints, and he has the best sprint train here. Full stop. It's just fantastic. It's people just like drips and drabs of sort of people who've come from other really successful sprint trains. I'm thinking about Aldani, who was on Caleb Ewan's a couple of years back, Raman Sinkeldam, who was on Arnaud de Mars last year, Christian Sparali, who's been a great sprinter in his own right. He's got top tens in the Giro in the past. They've got a lot of these sort of like in-betweeny guys that Albus and De Koenig really rely on these sprinting stages that always get them good results. Albus and De Koenig have never left a Grand Tour without a stage win. So I would suggest that they're going to get one this time, and I think they're going to get multiple stages with Caden Groves. It's a fantastic sprint train. I'm finding it hard to really look past Groves. I think Pedersen is there, but sometimes Pedersen just misses it on like a pure flat sprint. He just doesn't quite have that marker, and there are quite a few in the Giro where I'm just kind of skeptical of whether Pedersen will be there right in contention. But he also similarly has a decent train with Alex Kirsch, who he's worked super closely with over the past couple of years. But we're missing like a Jasper Stuyven and an Ed Turns to like really set it up, like the sort of old, well, I say old school, the very formulaic Mads Pedersen sprint train that's brought him so much success. It's going to be different. And I don't know, I just feel like Groves has that train ready to send him to success.
Yeah, to be fair, I think I overlooked Groves. Got that stage win at the Vuelta last year. He missed some stages of the Vuelta last year where he should have been up there. He was out of position, and I think maybe that was just a bit of like a first Grand Tour, get it out of the system sort of thing. But he got that win, which is really important, and importantly, he beat Pedersen in that sprint. And I think that you're right. He has a more designated team towards him, and it feels just a bit more coherent as a sprint train in comparison to Pedersen. So yeah, and especially Groves is not a bad climber. Like think of like Volta Catalunya, he has got over some serious climbs. I think, especially last year in that really rainy stage, which Carapaz and Higuita won. That was a hilly day, and I think Groves sprinted to third on that stage. So he's not just like some chunky fat boy sprinter who's just going to get dropped. He's quite versatile, and I think he'll be a good battle. Yeah, I think Pedersen, Matthews, and Groves are probably my likely kind of top three. I think if somebody won outside of those three, I'd be a little bit surprised because there are some more versatile sprints in this race where being able to get over climbs into a breakaway or whatever, or just being able to contest a kind of reduced sprint will be very useful.
I'm quite favorable towards Fernando Gaviria as well. Maybe not to win, but like at least to get a stage.
Yeah.
Roll back the clock, you would say.
Yeah.
Because every now and then he just looks a little bit better. I feel like we're getting Gaviria back. Similarly, DSM have Dainese, but I mean, I like Dainese, but I don't quite see a pathway to winning Ciclamino. So I'm kind of inclined to think that it will be between either Groves or Pedersen. It could be a surprise. I feel like maybe there's someone we're completely missing out in the field.
I mean, Bini would have loved this. Like
Yeah.
this
But
field
Binny, but
with
Binny can't
Bini.
do flat sprints, and there's quite a lot of
Yeah,
flat
but
sprints in this
against
Giro.
this field, he definitely could. Because it's like one of these guys who are probably going to be finishing fifth or sixth at the tour. They could be picking up 5, 6 stages at this field.
Yeah, very true. And it's kind of what's more important, is it a win at the Giro or is it, I don't know, because that's the thing. Is it worthwhile a more secure win at the Giro, or like a 50% chance of a Giro win, or like a 20% chance of a tour? Basically, is probably what teams are kind of weighing up. It's kind of like, yeah, we're more likely to win at the Giro, but is it worthwhile kind of putting a gamble in at the Tour, because getting a win there is actually more impressive towards like sponsorship and exposure and stuff. And I think that more teams are willing to kind of chance it, even though there are like you say, there's going to be every single fantastic sprinter under the sun there, where like you say, you like a Gerber Tayson won't be winning at the tour unless things go exceptionally well for him and exceptionally bad for other people. It would make far more sense for him to be here. It's hard to say because kind of somebody who's never run a Tour de France team or ridden in one, but I would probably favour getting a Grand Tour win that's a more likely certainty over getting maybe the chance of getting a win at the Tour, but also more likely to come away with nothing at the Tour. It's very possible that, there are lots of big sprinters last year who went to the Tour, didn't get a win. So therefore that seems like a relative failure. Whereas you could get 3 or 4 wins out of the Giro.
How about Mark Cavendish? Eh?
Oh God. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we should kind
I don't we kind of glossed over him, didn't we? I don't really know. It's just he just hasn't clicked with Astana yet, to be honest with you. He's just one of these people like, I only work well with like certain lead out men, basically. He's just like, he seems relatively like stiff in his kind of ways, and it feels like things just haven't been working with Astana yet, and I don't know what's going to need to change for that to improve.
It's like a circus, really. Like Astana, Kazakhstan, they're going around the whole world tour, and every like event they have like the ringleader who like people start talking about, and it feels like that is just Mark Cavendish's role. He has ridden so many races this year. He's riding the Giro and the Tour. He's scheduled to anyway, and like every race he goes, he's been a bit underwhelming, but he's always there, and it's like that's the only talking point for Astana, Kazakhstan in the race. I feel bad for him because he's just ended up being this sort of like ringleader role where he's just there going for like the Astana Kazakhstan circus. But I mean, it's what he's signed up to. Who knows if he'll stay there for another year? But he's missing Gleb and Martinelli as well. Two guys that I think would suit this route, but they might be going to the Tour de France. They should be going to the Tour de France if they want to make that. I mean, I want to like ring a bell or something. If Mark Cavendish breaks the Eddie Merckx record, ding-a-ling-a-ling, they kind of need that lead-out train to work in the summer.
Literally, when you look at Astana Kazakhstan's team, who is the lead out man? I can't get it for Giro, bro. But who is it? I have no idea. Is it? I couldn't even tell you. Is it Luis Leon Sanchez? Is it Fedorov? Is it Velasco? Is it Samuel Battistella? It just doesn't work. This team supporting Cav at this Giro, it doesn't work. Is it more kind of rehearsal time ahead of the tour? Is it the tour's the big thing and the Giro's just a bit of just like a dress rehearsal? See if Cav can kind of fly solo without big support in the lead out, because that might be the case in the tour again.
It's so Peter Sagan 2014, 2013 coded, where like he would just go into a grand tour with like no teammates, and you just got Sagan like doing his own thing. But 38-year-old Mark Cavendish is not 22-year-old Pedersen. As much as he would love that comparison, I don't think it's quite there at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is if he doesn't pick up a stage here, and we're kind of saying it's a B tier field, if you can't beat Mats Pedersen, if you can't beat Caden Groves, he's not beating Groenewegen, he's not beating Jacobsen Philipsen as well. Well, he hasn't been doing that this season anyway.